Welcome back to Talking Dragon Age, the show where I talk about Dragon Age. This episode is all about Flemeth and Mythal. Mythal now is bonded to Flemeth. I'll discuss the nature of this bond in a bit. For now, let's talk about how this bond came to be, which means going all the way back to Elvenon. Solas claims all the other Evanuris were responsible for Mythal's murder. Now, as I've said before, I'm not sure I buy it. Sure, it's possible, but Solas is a rather biased source, and one thing he has shown time and again is that he is the trickster. So, Mythal was betrayed and murdered. The circumstances of this event are unclear at best. It may be because she was a voice of reason while the others were corrupt tyrants, or it may have been more personal than political. Regardless, it happened and Solas created the veil in response. I theorize it had to do with the Blight. The Evanuris couldn't control it, so Solas needed to banish them in order to stop it from spreading. The only way to do that was to create the veil. That's the short version of that theory. I've talked about it before plenty of times. So, Mythal. A few episodes ago, we kind of talked about how she may relate to Andraste. I don't buy into that theory, but it's certainly possible. The real question is, how does her spirit survive without a body? I mean, Morrigan says she needs a new body or else she'll just be trapped in a decaying one. Then again, Morrigan misunderstood the whole thing. And according to Yavanna, it was supposed to be an honor. I'll admit, I don't understand how this works. I mean, option 1, she intended to just pass Mythal's soul onto Morrigan. But then why does this version of Flemeth remember being the original Flemeth? She talks about how Mythal came to her as the original Flemeth. Is it like each time she does this, she also adds her old memories? So it's not full-on possession of Morrigan's body, it's Morrigan taking on the memories of all the Flemeths that came before her. If we're assuming Flemeth is telling the truth, that's the only option that makes sense to me. If she's not telling the truth, then I have absolutely no idea where to go from there. So, moving on, I do want to talk about who Mythal was back in the day. Solas says she was the best of the Evanuris. She cared for her people and was a voice of reason. I'll say again, Solas is a biased source. He idolized her, absolutely. That said, Solas has never shown himself to be naive. At least... okay, well that's not actually true. Solas is not a simple individual, let's put it that way. But he is a very black and white kind of guy. Just or unjust, fair or unfair. But we're not here to talk about Solas' mind. As he tells it, all the other Evanuris killed Mythal in their lust for power. Probably because she was a limiting factor. She was betrayed and murdered, but we don't know by whom. The way I see it, all the other Evanuris are suspects of at least the conspiracy, if not also the deed. But that doesn't mean they were all involved. I'd love to actually analyze the whole murder, but I don't think we have enough information. By the time we get additional information, they'll probably also just give us the answer. Which is disappointing. I was looking forward to solving a millennia-old fictional cold case. Anyway, Mythal, right. So we know she was consulted and prayed to in matters of justice and protection. Although she also had a bit of a skewed perspective of justice. Many legends paint her many different ways, but not many contradict the others. As Solas puts it, she was protective and fierce. In modern times, Morrigan puts it best.
Oft it seems her bitterness has colored her memories.
What a perfect line. Seriously, going through Morrigan's dialogue reveals a lot if you read between the lines. Same for Flemeth too, obviously. Yet Morrigan, being her daughter, may actually reveal more. Morrigan is also frustratingly cryptic about many things, but it's times like these where I really start to forget that an actual human wrote this, and it's not another world I'm looking into. I live for these kinds of stories. Anyway, I think I'm getting off track again. Modern Flemeth. She is planning a reckoning that will shake the very heavens. It does seem like her goal is different from Solas's. We know roughly what Solas intends to do, but we know virtually nothing about Mythal's intentions. I mean, other than revenge on the other Evanuris and those that have wronged her. I'm not sure she cares about the veil at all. Maybe Solas needs to start the process so the Evanuris will be released so she can take her revenge? One other thing I want to mention is something I actually brought up in my discussion with Essem Jay, and that is that Mythal does not share Solas and Abelas's opinion of the Dalish. She regards Merrill as one of the people, and she tells the Inquisitor they do the people proud. So, strange as it is to say, she's not as cynical as the other surviving ancient elves. Now the last thing I want to talk about is her daughters. We know about Yavanna, who was killed. We know about Morrigan, who... well, you know the deal. I'm pretty confident she has other daughters. Maybe we'll meet one in the next game. I certainly hope so. But, is Flemeth truly dead? Well, Solas absorbed her power, so... if she's not dead, she's at least not as powerful as she once was. It's entirely possible she had another Horcrux like the one she gave Hawke. Alternatively, she may have sent her spirit to Morrigan or another daughter. Flemeth, Mythal... she's not someone who would leave her fate to chance. She has contingencies for her contingencies. Of course, that's just my opinion. And I think that's about it. Obviously, that's not everything to go through with Flemeth, but I'm hitting the brakes here because I don't have the mental capacity to go any further. So, to recap, Flemeth is an enigma. No one ever really knows what side she's on. Well, that's not entirely true. She's on her own side. She's probably not dead, but she might be. She probably has more daughters that we'll see in the future, but we might not. She has big plans that will shake the world, but we don't know what they are. She was betrayed by some of the Evanuris, but we don't know which ones were truly involved. And I guess that's about it. Now, this is the first episode in my series discussing the Elven gods. And next up is a twofer with Solas and June. Yeah, that's right, Mrs. Derthalin. I said June. More on that next time. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember, Tala, not us.